Hi, my name is Anthony Turner from the Small Business Institute, and today my guest is Brenda Thompson from the Smart Small Business Alliance. Brenda, welcome, and thank you for giving some of your time today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me here.
Look, you're very welcome. It's our pleasure to have you here. So we can keep this going all day, couldn't we? Yeah. But we're not here to do that. So, Brenda, for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, could you give us a bit of an idea of what the Smart Small Business Alliance is all about?
I would love to, and thank you for getting its brand new title right, because it's actually really exciting, because that's part of what it's all about. Has been an evolution from two other businesses: Smart Small Business Forums, which was the business that we've had for the last 4 years, and Smart Connect Events, which we started last year. And we were sort of finding people were getting confused between Smart Small Business Forums, which are mastermind groups, and Smart Connect Events, which have been our evolution into actually running networking events, with a really big difference, which I hope we'll talk about later.
Sure.
But seeing that kind of confusion, we thought, okay, well, let's give it an umbrella title.
Great.
So the Smart Small Business Alliance is really all about connecting small business owners in ways that will help them, so they can help each other to grow their businesses. So it's all about collaboration, teamwork. My passion is around creating teams of people who can help and support one another. It's what gives me a real buzz. Yeah. It's like ducks flying in formation. Together they can fly so much further than any one of them can fly alone, and that's the underpin behind the whole alliance.
Yeah, and look, for the benefit of people, I've actually had the opportunity to go to one of your events and be part of the room and everything else. And you've got a very unique way of actually delivering what many would consider to be networking in inverted commas. And I've got some reservations about networking, and I think from our conversations you probably have too, in terms of traditional networking.
Yeah.
So maybe you can give a bit of an overview of of how you go about doing things and why it is that bit unique.
Yeah, okay. And perhaps if I start with why I think perhaps we've both got reservations about traditional networking.
Sure.
Because there's sort of a tendency when people go to a networking event, particularly if they're a little bit new and inexperienced in business, they think that networking is that place they're going to go and find new clients.
Yes.
And they're told they have to have this beautiful elevator pitch. So
and a pocket full of business cards.
And a pocket full of business cards. So they madly go to networking events with basically, I call it having their Yellow Pages ad stuck on their forehead.
Okay.
And they proceed to try to sell to people. But let's face it, nobody goes to a networking event to be sold to.
No.
If you want to buy something, you're going to go and ask your trusted advisors. And if your trusted advisors don't know, you're probably going to go and Google it. You're certainly not going to spend your time and money going into a room full of strangers to see if maybe somebody sells widgets.
Yeah.
Let's face it, it's totally ridiculous.
Sure.
So if everybody's there with the concept of they want to sell and nobody's there because they want to buy, what are the odds of a win-win? I mean,
pretty remote.
Pretty remote.
Yeah.
But if you change that conversation around and you actually start to look for people who share your same ideal clients and your same target market, then you get a completely different conversation.
Okay.
I've got this little fantasy going on in my head. I like to imagine that Walt Disney met Ray Kroc at a networking event.
And for those who don't know, Ray Kroc is the founder of McDonald's.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to imagine that, well, nobody, I'm sure, would imagine for a minute that Walt Disney would have said to Ray Kroc, "Hey, do you want to buy my movie tickets?" Or Ray wouldn't have said to Walt, "Do you want to buy my burgers? I've got the best burgers." What they would have said is, "Hey, you know what? We share the same ideal clients of parents of small children. What are some ways that we could help and support one another?" Yeah. And although I'm sure that they never actually did meet, that exact conversation clearly happened between Disney Studios and McDonald's, because the result of that for years and years and years was the Happy Meal boxes with the little figurines, and then the movie tickets. So the kids at school, every school holidays, Mom, can I go to the movies? And then they go to the movies, they get the vouchers back to McDonald's, there's another figurine, and the cycle went on. And it made millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, sure.
But small business owners tend not to think that they can do that. And they can. Creating those kinds of partnerships is the most powerful way there is for small business owners to grow. Yeah. And if you go to a networking event with that philosophy of who can I find who shares my same ideal clients, so we can have a conversation about, can we do a Disney McDonald's thing? what could we do to help each
Yeah.
other grow our businesses?
Sure.
And the conversation is so different.
Yeah.
And you stop that whole slapping out the business cards thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it becomes a how can we help each other instead of a what can I sell you?
Yeah, well, it's a really interesting point because I've been to many different types of networking events, inverted commas, as I'm sure you have as well, and,
Yes.
and seen all different types. You've got the speed networking events where you've got 60 seconds to actually tell your story,
Yep,
and then hopefully people are going to run to you in the break to actually
Yes.
buy something from you or say I need to connect with
Yep.
you. You've got the ones which are more the sort of the regular, you go there every week and once again you do your 60 seconds elevators pitch and and there's KPIs and you got to meet and do all sorts of different things like that. And I'm not saying any of them are right or wrong. They're going to be right or wrong for different people at different times of their cycle of business. I get that. But I guess yours, the one that I went to was quite unique.
Yes.
So maybe if you could explain how you put a group together.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some real value because it is actually an extension of what you've just said, and that is about providing those strategic or potential strategic put my teeth in strategic connections.
Exactly. And that was the way the rationale behind the one that you came to,
Yes.
of which there are actually 98 now happening this coming year. So the rationale was really to do with exactly the things that I just talked about and the things that I don't like about networking events. One is clearly when you go to a networking event, you want to make some useful connections.
Yes.
But if you've got no idea who's going to be there, and if the organiser has done no further care than going, who'll buy a ticket, then it's a lucky dip. And frequently it can be a pretty ordinary lucky dip.
Yes.
So I tried to get rid of the lucky dip.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is that in those kind of casual, informal networking events, if you're shy, then the odds are that you're not going to meet everybody. In fact, you're probably only going to talk to the people that you already know, because if you're shy, that's certainly that's what I do. So even if the right people were there, you probably weren't going to meet them. And then you've got the 60-second pitch at the ones that meet once a week. So what I did was I looked at how could you overcome those three problems. So we put our events together based on shared target market. Mm-hmm. So every event is around a specific target market, whether it's small business, medium business, large business, real estate and property, individual consumers. Those are the ones we've got at the moment, but that'll probably grow. So you can't come if you don't share those ideal clients, because let's face it, that gives everybody in the room instantly something really important in common.
Yes.
It gives them the opportunity to have the Ray Kroc Disney conversation instantly. Yeah. And then the next thing we do is we limit the numbers. Mm-hmm. So there's typically between 10 and 16 people, and it's facilitated. So everybody does get to be part of the conversation and nobody gets to take over, because professional facilitators help manage that. And we have a set of questions that everybody answers, which are all about who their ideal clients are and what their business goals are and what they're looking for help with. So the whole room then is party to helping and supporting one another. Yep. And it just takes all of that kind of salesy, in fact, we actually say elevator pitch is strictly forbidden in the email that goes out in advance. We say leave your elevator pitch back in the office. Yep. And it's really about conversations where everybody focuses on, well, how can we help one another? Yes. And the facilitator also helps to point out ideas that, sort of the kinds of things that people might be able to do together. And it's amazing the kind of energy and the amount of ideas you get when you put a room full of people together who've got something in common and who all have a philosophy of wanting to help each other. Yeah. Because I also we do pre-screening interviews on everybody who comes as well. And if I decide that they're a bit of a raper and pillager, if you like, I figure that out fairly quickly and they don't get to come. And if I spot they are that way when they're there, they don't get invited back.
Now, with these groups, Brenda, do they actually have the same people in it each time that you go there, or do you mix them up every time as well?
Well, obviously it's a challenge. Yeah. So, but what we're attempting to do is to have a core of people who we know are really, really high value, really great contributors, and who are the perfect fit for the room. And then we mix it up. So once those half a dozen core people seats are gone, as in once we've got those people, then nobody else can come more than once every 3 months. Okay. So there's always different people in the room, because what people have told me is that they want those strong relationships like they get from some of the other networking groups, but they also want to meet new people, and they want those new people to be the right new people. Yeah, cool. So we actually have what we call a smart partner wheel, where we get those core people to identify what the professions are that they'd really love to meet.
Yes.
And then obviously we don't get that, can't do that all the time, but we're on the lookout for people in those professions so that we can invite the right people, so we can really start to create those powerful alliance relationships.
Yeah. In terms of going to networking, if we look at the more generic sort of networking, there are certainly some things that I think a lot of our viewers, listeners can actually do to be better prepared to go to networking. It's not just a case of turning up and, as you said, hoping that you can meet somebody interesting. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think you need to go with a purpose. You need to select who you're going to go, why you're going to go, where you're going to go, and all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure you've got some really good ideas around that. Would you mind sharing a few of those?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And I think that's a really interesting point, because you talk to a lot of people and they think that what they need to go to a networking event, most importantly, is, I haven't got my business cards yet, I can't go. And that's kind of like the driving force, I need to have my business cards, as opposed to, I need to have worked out what it is I want to achieve, and therefore who are the kinds of people that I actually want and need to meet. Because if you haven't worked that out, you're not necessarily going to pick the right events, and you're not necessarily going to focus on meeting the right people and having the right conversations. So I think that there are 3 really core things that you need to have in place. And forget the business cards, they're not that important. I actually don't have business cards, I haven't for years.
Okay.
So, and I can come back to that afterwards, but it's really about being very clear on your goals and your objectives. Right. What is it you want to achieve, and who are the people who could help you achieve that, particularly thinking back to the alliance partner, to the potential strategic alliances. Who are the people that you could work with? Who are the people who share your ideal clients?
Yes.
And that leads you to, you actually do need to know who your ideal clients are.
Right.
Which, if you don't know that, if you're still in the position of being, my ideal clients are everybody, then that makes that really, really difficult to identify those great alliance partners. Because when you're going out there saying my ideal clients are everybody, then the people who are listening are going, oh yeah, okay, I believe that. So it makes it far less likely that those people will say, hey, yeah, wow, if we share the same ideal clients, let's have a conversation.
Sure.
And being really clear on what your unique value proposition is. You don't need to be able to necessarily, it's obviously helpful if you can say it really effectively, but less worrying about the elevator pitch and more worrying about listening to the other person and who their ideal clients are and what their unique value proposition is and how you might be able to help them. You've got 2 ears and only 1 mouth for a reason, and it's really, really helpful to focus on listening as opposed to talking. Yeah. When I've run networking training, a few of my students, if you like, have said what a relief they found it when in the car on a way to a networking event they could stop practicing their elevator pitch and start thinking about the questions they were going to ask. Yeah,
very, very good. And so what I'm hearing is be selective about the sort of networking groups that you're going to, based on the clients that that you share in common, but also knowing what goals you have. Now, those are goals for your business, not necessarily just for your networking. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes, it's your business goals, because your networking goals should feed into your business goals.
Yes.
I think it's really interesting when I hear people say they have a networking plan and their networking plan is to attend an event every week and to collect 5 business cards. How many times have you heard that?
Quite a few.
Which events? Who do you want to meet? Which business cards? Why?
Yeah.
It's got to feed into your business goals. Yeah. And when you actually ask the question, do you have a business plan? That's kind of like, that's really interesting, because most people don't. Or if they do, it's that one they wrote when they first went into business, and it's been in the bottom drawer of their desk for the last however many years, and they never look at it.
Yeah.
It's really about having a strategic action plan that says, what is it I want to achieve this year, this 90 days, this month? What do I need to focus on now? And could networking help me do that?
Yeah, yeah. And that's one of the things, isn't it? Networking is just one of those marketing tools. It is not your marketing, but it's a very essential part, because building relationships with people is extremely important. Yes. And one of the things that I've often found is not necessarily the person that I meet at the event, but it's the people that they know.
Yeah.
That can be where the real powerful is.
And if you've really built that, if you've built that trust as not being salesy, as being really open and genuine, and you've listened really well, then people are far more likely to be willing to introduce you to the people that they know.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned before you've thrown away the business cards, or you haven't had them for many years.
Yeah.
You're going to come back to that. Why is that?
It's actually been it was actually a bit of an attention-getting strategy, actually, because people don't expect somebody who's a networking specialist, if you like, to not have business cards.
Okay.
But every time I don't give somebody a business card, I send a meal to feed a hungry child in Kenya.
Okay.
So, and by doing that, obviously I don't, my marketing budget, most of my marketing budget actually goes to making a difference.
Okay.
I spend far less money on marketing and far more money on making a difference by doing things like at networking events saying, look, I don't have business cards, but if you give me yours, I'll send you my contact details electronically and I'll send a meal to a child in Kenya.
Okay.
I think we're sitting on close to 5,000 meals right
fabulous.
now, which is awesome. Yeah. But there's another cool bit to that, because the person who holds the business card holds the power. How many times have you given your business card to somebody and it's disappeared into a void?
Sure.
My business cards don't disappear into a void.
Yeah.
Because I take the business card, and I mean, obviously I don't add people to my mailing list without their permission. That would I don't do that. But when I send them the email with here's my contact details, like I promised, and I've sent the meal, and here's the tally, and would you like to get further information? Or more likely, if I've listened carefully, then here's a connection that you might find useful, or here's an article that you might find valuable, or here's something that would help you based on what you told me.
Yep, fabulous. One of the interesting things is that you've just touched on there is that after follow-up. The
one that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, and hey, both hands up, I've been guilty of it, totally, and I'm sure everybody has. Yes. But I find that the majority of time is that people are interested in stuff and they actually get almost a shock if you actually follow them up.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they're not used to it.
Yeah.
Which is scary.
Yeah. I think statistically probably less than 10% of networking is followed up. And I think part of that is because of that random business card exchange. Yep. I remember one event I went to. It was a full day event, so they did kind of like a warm-up activity, where everybody was supposed to give everybody else a hug, that kind of thing. Yep. And I had a really bad headache, and I was feeling really grumpy and really whatever. And the person I got to give a hug to shoved their business card at me, and I looked at it and I said, "So what do you want me to do with this?" Because and I think that's part of the issue. I mean, if somebody's shoving their business card at you, if you haven't established what it is they do, who their ideal clients are, what's the purpose for the follow-up? Yeah. So to me, a business card exchange is about, okay, so we've exchanged business cards, so there's an objective. Yes. What's the next step? Yes. What was the reason I've got your contact details? What's the reason you've got mine? Yeah. So that there is actually a next step, because if you've actually agreed on the next step, you're far more likely to do it. Yes. If you've just done this random business card flip, and let's face it, if somebody's just like that person that I got grumpy with, I mean, there was no way in the world I was going to do anything with that business card. I didn't know what he did. I had no idea about why he was special. Why would I do anything with this business card? Yeah. It's kind of like this expectation that one day you might need me from a business card. Yeah.
Well, I remember actually having a chat with a particular lady who's also one of the experts in networking and all that sort of thing. And one of the great tips that she gave was that when she collects business cards, she actually sorts them as she collects them. So she typically has a jacket with two pockets. So these are the ones on this side that I want to keep, and these are the ones on the other side that don't really interest me. And then literally as she's walking out, she finds a bin, and all the ones that she doesn't really interest in, she dumps them. Yeah. Because she's got no use for them.
Yeah, and you haven't. I mean, you could end up with this pile like this of business cards. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So for anybody who's listening or,
I like that.
Think about a strategy for how you collect your business cards and how you're going to use those. Yeah.
I must admit that pocket one's a bit risky. I've been known to actually, I have a lot of jackets. Jackets are my thing. Other people have shoes, I have jackets. Right. And I've been known to put a jacket on that I haven't worn for sort of like 4 months and go, oh my gosh, I never followed that one up. So I usually empty the pockets when I get home, but it has been known to happen. And basically, you just have to contact them and apologise. Yeah, it's better to do it than not to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Brenda, if you're looking at sort of key points for somebody who's thinking about taking up networking, what would you suggest? These are the key things to do, and maybe these are some of the things that you probably should think about not doing in terms of networking.
Okay. Well, the things to do are to get that stuff right in advance, and don't panic about whether you've got fancy business cards or not. So really being really, really clear on why you're doing it. Yep. What's the goals? What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? really clear on your unique value proposition and your ideal clients. And the extra thing that I'd put in there in anticipation is think about who those potential alliance partners might be. What are the other professions that share those ideal clients?
Right.
So if you're thinking, let's say you're a mortgage broker.
Yes.
So and so your obvious potential alliance partners in sort of in everybody's terms would be, you know, the real estate agent, the conveyancer. I went to a networking event once where there was a mortgage broker, a real estate agent, a conveyancer, a property inspector, an architect, a lawnmower, a garden maintenance person, all sitting in a row down one side of the table, and it was one of those networking events where, you know, where referrals get passed, which is great. I mean, like, they work really well for some people, and this was a great example because the business cards just literally flipped right down the table as all of those people were referring business to each other. So think about what those other professions are who share your ideal clients, because they'll be the people who can help you the best. And the clearer you are on exactly who your ideal clients are, the more likely they are to want to work with you, even if you're really new.
Sure.
Because if they can see that you've got that clear and you've got your unique value proposition clear, even really experienced business owners will be happy to work with newer business owners. So get that stuff clear in the first place, and then approach the networking event very much from an attitude of get rid of the sales pitch, focus on identifying the people that you want that can help you achieve your business goals, and then listen. And look to follow up in a way that's about helping them, not about furthering your instant sales, looking for instant sales gratification. Nobody wants to receive that sales pitch follow-up email.
Sure. One of the other little things that I remember somebody talking to me about one time was actually going into networking events with what you can offer. And as a strategy, you know, and take your point about, you know, knowing who they are. So like, you know, using your group of, you know, the real estate, the mortgage broker and the landscaper and all that sort of stuff, is that, you know, if you know very clearly what you is and you know what your offering is, you know, you can actually then say, listen, you know, have you ever thought about putting this into the package of what you offer? You know,
which is
because this is something I specialise in, and I may or may not be the right person for you, but, you know, maybe, you know, this is something that could add value to what you do. And then have a conversation around that. Now, it may come to nothing, but it's at least it's a way of starting to build those relationships and understanding. You know,
absolutely. And I agree. The only sort of codicil, if you like, that I'd put on that is really making sure that you're clear, that you find out what the other person's goals are.
Yes, sure.
Because if their goals aren't in line with that right now, with what it is that you're putting in there, you might have closed it, you might have made them think there's only one solution. So you might have closed a door. Whereas if you can focus on, I really like hey, we share the same ideal clients, and it might be, you know, are you open to exploring ways we might be able to help one another? Because I've got some thoughts about that. I don't know if they're in line with your goals, but are you open to exploring it? I love that word, open. It's sort of, most people don't say, no, I'm closed.
True.
It's so
even if they are.
Even if they are. And that gives you because there've been a number of occasions where people have come to me with a sort of like an alliance opportunity, if you like, and sometimes they've made an assumption about what I want. And about what my values might or might not be. And if they've got that wrong, then they've closed. It's made it far more difficult for them to reopen the door, because they've kind of gone, not in the right space.
Very valid point. Very valid point.
So that would be, but I think that's what you want to explore. Absolutely.
And look, it's yes, I find in any business, you know, it's searching for commonalities and things like that, and then and that's how you can build. You know, I think probably the days of competing with one another, particularly in a networking space and everything else, is really, really over. You know, and it's probably led to a lot of individual business isolation and probably a lot of non-attendance at networking, you know, going forward. And, you know, maybe the style of what you're doing about, which is the facilitated style with the, you know, the ability of matching people, you know, more strategically and everything else, maybe something well worth, you know, people having a listen and look around at. How can they get in touch with you?
With my brand new website.
With your brand new website,
which is going to be as of Monday, ssba.net.au. So that, or they can email me. They can. Are we going to put some contact details somewhere near this video? This.
Look, we certainly can put some connections and everything else with the video. So they'll be there on the TSBI website, which is tsbi.com.au. And the other thing is that. we are in discussions at the moment about how TSBI can get supportive of the Smart Small Business Alliance.
Yeah.
Most of those events, the 98 events that Brenda's been talking about, will also be available through the TSBI Small Business Institute website calendar as well. So we're happy to have those up there and help generate some more people into your networking forums. Yeah.
We'll generate some more people into your fantastic organisation as well, because there's some real benefits for being there.
Thank you. Well, Brenda, thank you very much for your time today.
Pleasure.
I really appreciate having the opportunity to talk to you about smart networking.
Yeah, I always enjoy talking about that.
Great. Thanks, Kit.
Thanks.